It's a bit unfortunate, I would say, because we've mentioned there needs to be a delinking. A presidency, as stated, is service to the people. So if his time is over and is technically over, the lessons learned from his tenure, I think, would be lessons that he would give the president-elect. So I see we might miss that important lessons, and some of these lessons would be able to inform. We don't have the time, as colleagues have said, in terms of how far back our economy is. So those lessons would immediately be translated to the president-elect for purposes of solidifying the economic development. So my immediate observation is that we are missing critical lessons because of personal differences. So I would have expected much more from the president, particularly because on the footing at which they started. And there was so much goodwill from the people of Kenya. But in spite of that, I would support what President-elect also says. We need to move on as a country. We don't have the benefit of, I would say, forcing a relationship and reaching out. I'm all for peace and all the issues, but I honestly think as a country, we do not have that time. But luckily, I would say the president-elect has also surrounded himself with quite good intellectuals, people who, have looked at the economy. And so even without that support, I would say, from the outgoing, then there's room for him to move fairly fast. But I'm hoping this is something, again, not being replicated at counties, as we've said, because we have people that are exiting. What lessons would those governors be giving to the incoming? So I think if the tone we are seeing at the national is also what is being replicated then at the county level, we are seriously missing out. Allow me to just speak to a few things that both, I think, Wanjiru and Daisy have mentioned. Wanjiru spoke again about the election having been an issue of dynasties and hustlers. But I think the most important thing for me also in this election is the way citizens are able to understand and push back. So there are issues clearly put by Azimio and team that this is what we are going to do. But I like the way citizens were able to see that the other side's campaign has seriously been using public resources. So if that candidate would not have stopped and said, hey, these are public resources that you're using to enable me go ahead. So in terms of principles and issues, that is where I had difficulty with Azimio. And I think most citizens were really not up to it. So over and above, I would say, the issue of hustler and dynasty, I think the president supporting the Azimio team with state resources did not work very well, and citizens were totally not amused. So I think those are a few of the thoughts. I just see how this played out. But again, I'm hoping that the manifesto that the president-elect and team put forth, that would be able to be implemented. As of course you said, we have limited fiscal space and issues like that. But in my opinion, Wanjiru and Daisy, we can explore. I think we've looked as a country at very lazy options in terms of raising revenue. So we lose a lot in illicit financial flows. We lose a lot in very many other areas. So I'm hoping the advice that would be given to President-elect would be able to seal those and really enable him move forward his agenda.